Dust floated lazily in the hot afternoon air as Wade entered the sheriff's office with slow, tired steps. He'd been herding cattle for 3 long days without any rest, and his entire body felt the exhaustion deeply. Tom, the sheriff, and his closest friend for the past 15 years, looked up from his scattered papers and smiled warmly. "You look absolutely terrible, my friend," said Tom with concern, pouring 2 steaming cups of strong coffee. "Sit down quickly before you fall over." Wade let himself drop into the solid wooden chair with a deep, weary sigh. He took the hot cup carefully between his weathered, calloused hands and drank a long, grateful gulp. The coffee was powerfully strong, pleasantly bitter, exactly the way he liked it best. 5 long years, Tom, Wade said suddenly, staring intently at his cup. 5 entire years living completely alone on that ranch of mine. Tom knew that particular look well. It was the unmistakable look of a man who'd been holding difficult words inside for far too long. "What's troubling you, Wade?" "I'm 35 years old now. My ranch is genuinely prosperous. I have healthy cattle, good strong horses, fertile productive land. But I come home every single night to an empty house. I eat my meals alone. I sleep alone every night. I work alone from dawn to dusk." Wade paused heavily. "I simply can't find a woman to marry, Tom. I just can't seem to find anyone." The sheriff leaned back slowly in his creaking chair, carefully studying his troubled friend. Wade was truly a good man, incredibly hardworking, completely honest, genuinely kind. Why on earth was he still alone? "Have you tried talking with the women in town?" Tom asked carefully. Wade let out a bitter, humorless laugh. "The women in this town? The young ones see me as an old man. The ones my own age are already married or have absolutely no interest in a lonely, simple cowboy. I tried courting the school teacher last year, remember? She rejected me politely. She said I was far too simple for her educated tastes." "That woman was a complete fool," Tom muttered under his breath. Or perhaps she was absolutely right. Wade shrugged his broad shoulders. "I'm not an educated man at all. I don't read those fancy books. I don't know how to speak all pretty and refined. I only know how to work the hard land and care for my animals properly. What kind of woman would truly want that simple life?" In the quiet corner of the office, Ayana, an elderly Apache woman who cleaned the sheriff's office regularly, had been silently organizing scattered papers. Her experienced hands stopped moving when she clearly heard Wade's desperate words. Her dark, wise eyes fixed intently on the weary cowboy. Wade continued speaking, not noticing her listening presence at all. "Sometimes I genuinely think I'll die completely alone on that isolated ranch, Tom. Who will close my eyes peacefully when my final time comes?" "Don't talk like that at all," Tom said firmly and seriously. "You're still relatively young. You'll definitely find someone eventually." "Where exactly? How?" Wade set his empty cup down heavily on the desk. "I've been to absolutely every dance in town. I've attended every single social event available. Women either ignore me completely or reject me kindly. It's exactly like I'm totally invisible to them. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Please write in the comments where you're watching from. That makes us very happy." Wade stood up slowly and stiffly. "Thanks sincerely for the coffee and for listening patiently, Tom. Sometimes a man just needs to say the difficult words out loud to someone." "I'm always here for you, brother," Tom replied warmly, giving him a supportive pat on the shoulder. Wade walked out of the office, leaving his words of quiet desperation floating heavily in the still air. The door closed with a soft, final click. Tom returned to his papers, silently. He didn't notice at all when Ayana carefully put down her cleaning rag and walked quietly to the dusty window, observing Wade mount his waiting horse and ride slowly away down the dusty street. Ayana's ancient eyes gleamed with a particular knowing light. In her traditional culture, she'd learned long ago that sometimes important words traveled on the wind for a very specific reason. Sometimes, Unexpected solutions arrived in the most surprising ways.
Tu destino te llama.
That same night, when she finally finished her cleaning work, Ayita didn't return directly home. Instead, she mounted her old faithful horse and rode steadily north, toward the distant hills, where her Apache people had recently established their new camp. The golden sun was setting beautifully when Ayita finally arrived. Small campfires were just beginning to light up, and the wonderful aroma of cooking food filled the evening air pleasantly. Young children played happily, while the women carefully prepared the evening meal. Ayita went directly to the largest tent standing, where the elderly Nayeli lived, the tribe's respected spiritual leader. Nayeli was 80 years old, but her sharp mind was perfectly clear, and her profound wisdom was deeply respected by absolutely everyone. "Grandmother," said Ayita respectfully, using the traditional term of deep respect, "I need to speak with you about something quite important." Nayeli looked up slowly from the beautiful blanket she was skillfully weaving. Her eyes, surrounded by deep wrinkles earned through decades, studied Ayita's worried face carefully. "Sit down here, daughter. Your heart is clearly restless. Tell me everything." Ayita sat down cross-legged by the warm fire and began telling what she'd overheard in the sheriff's office. She spoke at length of Wade, the lonely cowboy who simply couldn't find a wife. She spoke of his genuine kindness, of his prosperous ranch. "He's truly a good man," Ayita said with conviction. "I've observed him for many years now. He treats absolutely everyone with real respect, even our own people. He's not at all like other white men who look at us with such contempt." Nayeli listened in patient silence, her experienced fingers working steadily on the blanket, while her wise thoughts flew. When Ayita finally finished, the old woman remained thoughtfully quiet, gazing deeply at the dancing flames. "In our tribe," Nayeli finally said, "there are 3 women who also seek a new path in life." Ayita waited patiently, knowing well the elder would share more when she was ready. Dakota lost her beloved husband 2 years ago. She's 28 years old, but her heart is tightly closed. Ayana is 32 and has never married anyone. She chose to be a healer, but I see clearly in her eyes she wants family. And Kimmy, 26, so full of life, lost her husband 1 year ago. Nayeli put down her weaving and looked directly at Ayita. "3 women, 1 man. Perhaps the spirits have spoken today." "What do you suggest, grandmother?" Ayita asked. "Tomorrow morning," Nayeli said with a small, knowing smile, "we're going to make a visit to that lonely cowboy. And we're taking our 3 women with us. The paths of destiny are truly mysterious, Ayita. Perhaps we'll find answers for everyone." That night, while Wade slept alone in his empty ranch, not knowing what the dawn would bring, 3 Apache women listened to Nayeli's proposal. And one by one, for different reasons, all said yes. Destiny had begun flowing toward a new course. The sun had barely begun to peek over the distant mountains when Wade stepped out onto his ranch porch with a steaming cup of coffee in his weathered hand. It was his sacred morning routine, watching carefully how the golden light slowly painted his lands, thoughtfully planning the day's hard work, enjoying a few precious minutes of peace before beginning. But this particular morning would be completely different. In the far distance, along the winding road that led to his property, he saw a distinctive cloud of dust rising. Someone was definitely approaching. Wade squinted his eyes. Not just one, but several riders. 5, to be exact. His heart quickened slightly with curiosity. Visits weren't at all common at his lonely, isolated ranch. He set his cup down carefully on the porch railing and waited patiently, his hand resting instinctively near his hip, though he wore no weapon. Old habit of caution. As the riders steadily approached, Wade began to distinguish specific details. They were women, all Apache. He recognized Ayita at the front, the woman who cleaned the sheriff's office. But the other 4 were completely unknown to him. The riders stopped directly in front of his porch. Ayita dismounted first, followed by a silver-haired elder who moved with the natural dignity of a queen. Then, Three younger women descended from their horses with natural grace. Wade descended the steps slowly, his mind racing. What did they want? Had he done something wrong? Did they need help? Good morning, Mr. Wade, Ayita said in clear Spanish. Please forgive us for arriving unannounced. Good morning, Ayita, Wade replied, removing his hat respectfully. No problem at all. Is something wrong? Do you need help? Ayita smiled slightly. Rather, we've come to offer help to you. Wade blinked, confused. Help? I don't understand. The silver-haired elder stepped forward. Though small in stature, there was something in her presence that commanded immediate respect. Ayita spoke. This is Nayeli, the wise elder of our people. And these, she pointed to the three young women, are Takoda, Ayana, and Kimi. Wade nodded respectfully to each, noting their differences. Takoda was slender and serene, with eyes that seemed to see through things. Ayana had a strong, confident posture, with herb pouches hanging from her belt. Kimi smiled openly, her eyes shining with contained energy. It's an honor to meet you all, Wade said sincerely. But I don't understand why you're here. Ayita exchanged a glance with Nayeli, who nodded. Mr. Wade, yesterday at the sheriff's office, I accidentally overheard your conversation with Tom. I heard that you can't find a wife. Wade's face turned red as a ripe tomato. That was a private conversation. I know, Ayita said gently, and normally I would never repeat what I hear. But your words touched my heart. I saw your genuine sadness. So I told our elder. Nayeli spoke then, her voice soft but clear. Ayita translated, in our village, these three women are also alone. Takoda has been a widow for 2 years. Ayana has never married. She dedicated her life to being a healer. Kimi lost her husband a year ago. All three are good women, hard-working, with many skills. Wade looked from one to another, his mind desperately trying to comprehend what was happening. Ayita continued, Nayeli proposes something unusual, that you spend a week with all three, that you get to know them, that you see their skills, their hearts, their spirits. And at the end of the week, if any interests you and you interest her, you can talk about marriage. The silence that followed was so deep, Wade could hear the wind whispering through the trees. Are you telling me, Wade spoke slowly, that these three women came here for me to get to know them, to possibly marry one of them?
Exactly, Ayita replied.
Wade took off his hat and ran his hand through his hair, completely overwhelmed. But this is... Why would you do this? Nayeli spoke again, and Ayita translated, because everyone deserves a chance at happiness. Because barriers between peoples are just lines drawn by fear. Because we saw in you a good man, and our women deserve good men. Wade looked at the three young women. Takoda watched him with cautious curiosity. Ayana studied him as if evaluating a patient. Kimi smiled and winked at him playfully. I don't know what to say, Wade admitted honestly. I never imagined. He stopped, breathed deeply. Are all three in agreement with this? Did you come of your own free will? Ayita spoke with the three women in Apache. One by one, each woman nodded and responded. Ayita translated. Takoda says she's ready to try opening her heart again. Ayana says she's tired of being alone and wants a companion. Kimi says life is too short not to take risks. Wade sat on the porch steps, his hat in his hands. His mind was a whirlwind. Yesterday he was desperate to find a wife. Today, three women appeared at his door offering exactly that. 1 week, he finally said. 1 week to get to know all three. Yes, Ayita confirmed. And at the end, if there's no connection with any, no problem. We'll simply leave and no one gets hurt. Wade looked at his ranch. The large house with empty rooms, the stable, the corrals, the land stretching to the horizon. There was plenty of space, plenty of work, and his lonely heart had plenty of space too. All right, Wade said, standing up. I accept. 1 week. But I want you to know, I'll treat you with respect. You'll have your own rooms. There will be nothing inappropriate. Nayeli smiled broadly when Aita translated. She spoke in Apache, and her words made the three young women laugh. What did she say? Wade asked. Aita smiled. She said, that's why she knew you were a good man. A bad man would have accepted without thinking about his honor. Wade felt his face heating again. Well, please come in. I'll show you the house. I suppose we have a very interesting week ahead. As the women entered his house, Wade looked at the sky. He didn't know if this was complete madness or destiny. But for the first time in 5 long years, his empty house was about to fill with life, and his lonely heart began beating with something that felt dangerously like hope. The first day was strange for everyone involved. Wade showed them the house awkwardly, pointing to different rooms with nervous gestures. The house had 4 bedrooms total, his own, and 3 more he'd never actually used. Now, each woman would have her very own. Nayeli and Aita said their goodbyes at midday, leaving Wade completely alone with the 3 women. The silence was uncomfortable and heavy. Wade didn't know what to say at all. The women didn't speak Spanish fluently either. But Dakota broke the silence in an unexpected way. Without saying a single word, she entered the kitchen and began observing everything carefully. Wade followed her, confused. She touched the iron stove, examined the pots closely, reviewed the nearly empty pantry with a disapproving expression on her face. Then Dakota walked out to the backyard garden. With determined, purposeful movements, she began pulling wild herbs, identifying plants Wade didn't even know were edible. In just 1 hour, she'd collected a completely full basket. Wade watched absolutely amazed. Dakota returned to the kitchen and began cooking without asking any permission. The aroma that soon filled the entire house was incredible. Aromatic herbs, perfectly stewed meat, with spices Wade had never tasted, fresh bread baking in the oven. When Dakota finally served the meal at sunset, Wade tasted the first bite and almost cried. It had been 5 long years since he'd eaten something so absolutely delicious. Dakota didn't smile, but her eyes shone brightly with satisfaction seeing his genuine reaction. The second day, Wade woke to the pleasant sound of movement in the house. He went down and found that Dakota had already cleaned the entire kitchen and was preparing breakfast. The whole house smelled wonderfully of fresh bread and strong coffee. After breakfast, Wade went out to work with the cattle. Ayana followed without asking permission. Wade tried to protest. The work was hard and dirty, but she simply ignored him completely and kept walking steadily. In the open field, Wade noticed that one of his cows was limping badly. He approached the animal with genuine concern. Ayana moved forward quickly, speaking softly to the cow in Apache. The animal, surprisingly, calmed down immediately. Ayana examined the injured leg with expert hands. She found a thorn deeply embedded in the flesh. With precise and gentle movements, she carefully extracted it. Then she took herbs from her bag and prepared a paste she applied to the wound. "We'll heal in 3 days," Ayana said in broken Spanish, holding up 3 fingers clearly. Wade was impressed. "Where did you learn that?" Ayana smiled slightly. "I am healer. Animals, people, is same. Body is body." They spent the entire day carefully checking the cattle. Ayana identified 2 more animals with problems Wade hadn't noticed. One with an eye infection, another with parasites. She treated both with her herbal remedies. By day's end, Wade realized Ayana wasn't just useful. She was absolutely invaluable. A healer on a ranch was a true treasure. The third day began with shouts and laughter. Wade ran out of the house quickly, fearing the worst. He found Kimmy in the corral with his wildest horses. the ones even he hadn't managed to fully tame. Kimi was on the ranch's most temperamental horse, a black stallion that had thrown Wade 3 times. But under Kimi, the horse galloped in perfect circles, obediently obeying every command. "Good morning," Kimi shouted in heavily accented Spanish, her face radiant with pure joy. "Your horses need better training." Wade leaned on the fence, half amused, half amazed. Kimi dismounted with an agile jump and approached him, breathless, but smiling. "I teach," she said, pointing to the horses. "I good with horses. Also good hunter. You need fresh meat? I hunt." During the following days, Kimi showed him training techniques Wade had never seen before. The horses responded to her in ways that seemed magical. She also went hunting and returned with 2 deer, cleaning and preparing them with expert skill. The 4th day, Wade sat on his porch at dusk, observing the 3 women carefully. Dakota was in the garden, planting herbs in organized rows. Ayana was in the stable, preparing more remedies. Kimi was with the horses, singing in Apache while brushing them. His ranch, so quiet and empty for 5 long years, now vibrated with life, purpose, energy. The 5th day was difficult emotionally. Wade began feeling real pressure. Only 2 days left to make a decision. How could he choose? All 3 were incredible, each in her own way. Dakota had transformed his house into a real home. Every single meal was delicious. The curtains she'd sewn made the rooms feel cozy. She'd brought beauty and order to his life. Ayana had remarkably improved his cattle's health. 2 animals he thought he'd lose were now healthy. She'd taught him about dozens of medicinal plants growing on his property. She'd brought knowledge and healing. Kimi had revolutionized his work with horses completely. 3 animals he considered impossible to train now obediently obeyed commands. Her energy and joy made each day lighter. She'd brought laughter and vitality. The 6th day, Wade sat with each woman individually, trying to truly know their hearts. With Dakota, he talked about her lost husband. She cried silently, admitting she'd closed her heart for 2 years. "But here," she said, touching her chest, "something is awakening again." With Ayana, he talked about her life as a healer. She explained she loved her work but felt incomplete. "I heal others, but my own soul needs healing too." With Kimi, he talked about her free spirit. She confessed that sometimes her joy was a mask for pain. "But with you, the joy is real. Your ranch makes me feel truly alive." The night of the 6th day, Wade didn't sleep at all. He tossed in bed, his mind complete chaos. All 3 women were wonderful. All 3 had brought something unique and necessary to his life. All 3 had touched his heart in different ways. How could he choose just one without breaking the hearts of the other 2? How could he break his own heart, discarding what each offered? When the sun of the 7th day began to rise, Wade was still awake, sitting on his porch. He knew today he had to give his answer. But for the first time in his life, Wade faced a dilemma that hard work and determination couldn't solve. His heart, so long empty, was now full. Too full. And he had absolutely no idea what to do about it. The 7th day dawned with clear, bright skies. Wade had barely slept 2 hours total. He dressed slowly and carefully, his hands trembling visibly while he buttoned his shirt. Today, he had to choose finally. Or worse, he had to reject 2 wonderful women. He went downstairs and found the 3 women waiting for him in the living room. They'd already packed their bags. They were ready to hear his decision and, 2 of them, to leave forever. The silence in the room was so thick, Wade felt it choking him. "Good morning," he said in a hoarse voice. "Good morning," all 3 responded in perfect unison. Wade sat before them, removing his hat and nervously turning it in his hands. He'd rehearsed a speech all night long, but now all the words had completely fled his mind. "This week," he finally began, has been the most extraordinary of my entire life. The three women looked at him with different expressions. Dakota had her hands clasped in her lap, her face serene, but her knuckles white with tension. Ayana sat upright, her expression composed, but her eyes revealing anxiety. Kimmy tried to smile, but her leg wouldn't stop moving nervously. Dakota. Wade looked at her directly. You transformed my house into a real home. I'd never eaten so well in my life. I'd never seen my house so beautiful and orderly. You brought beauty and peace to my life. Dakota lowered her gaze, a slight blush on her cheeks.
Las tres, conmigo.
Ayana, Wade continued. You saved my animals. You taught me things I never knew about plants and healing. You're wise, strong, incredibly valuable. You brought knowledge and purpose. Ayana nodded slightly, her expression unchanged, but her eyes shining brightly. Kimmy? Wade smiled, despite his nervousness. You revolutionized my work with horses completely. Your energy, your laughter, your spirit. You made every day an adventure. You brought joy and life. Kimmy stopped moving her leg, holding her breath. Wade stood up, unable to stay seated. He walked to the window, looking at his ranch. All my life, I worked alone. I built this place with my own hands. I took pride in not needing anyone. He turned to look at them. But this week taught me I was wrong. I need help. I need company. I need someone. The three women waited, the final moment approaching. The problem is, Wade swallowed hard. I can't choose just one. The silence grew even deeper. I know I'm supposed to choose. He continued quickly. I know that's how marriage works. One man, one woman. But you three, each brought something my life desperately needed. And I simply can't decide which of those things I can live without. Wade knelt before the three women, his hat falling to the floor. So I'm going to propose something different. Something that's probably complete madness. The three women leaned forward. This ranch is enormous, Wade said, his words coming quickly now. It has plenty of space, plenty of work. There are 3 empty rooms besides mine. And my heart? He touched his chest. My heart seems to have space for all 3. Kimmy gasped audibly. Ayana blinked rapidly. Dakota opened her mouth slightly. I'm not asking all 3 of you to marry me, Wade quickly clarified, his cheeks red. That would be... No, that's not right. What I propose is this. All 3 of you stay, live here, work here. This ranch needs everything each of you offers. And with time, with natural time, perhaps my heart and the heart of one of you will find their way to each other. Wade took a deep breath. But it won't be forced at all. It won't be a choice made in 7 days. It will be something that grows naturally, like the plants Dakota is cultivating in the garden. And the other 2, he hesitated. The other 2 will always have a home here. They'll always be part of this family we're building. The 3 women looked at each other carefully. There was a moment of silent communication between them. That mysterious language only women seem to understand. Finally, Ayana spoke in broken Spanish. We live here, all. Yes? Wade confirmed. All, if you want. No marriage pressure, no immediate expectations. Just living, working, getting to know each other better. But eventually, Kimmy spoke quickly in Apache, then tried in Spanish. You choose one? For wife? Wade nodded honestly. Eventually, yes, if it's right. But it will be a choice made with the heart, not the calendar. And it will only happen if that person also chooses me. Dakota spoke for the first time, her voice soft. And the other 2? What happens to us? You'll have a home here as long as you wish, Wade said firmly. I'll never throw you out. I'll never ask you to leave. This is my promise. The three women looked at each other again.
Sí.
Then Ayana said something in Apache.
Es lo que
Kimi responded. Dakota added her opinion. The conversation continued for several minutes while Wade waited, his heart beating so hard he thought it might explode. Finally, all three nodded simultaneously.
Quedamos juntas.
Ayana stood and extended her hand. We accept is different, but good different. Wade took her hand, feeling his knees almost give way with relief. Kimi jumped and impulsively hugged Wade, making him stagger. Adventure! I like adventure.
Sí, Wade, aquí es donde pertenece.
Dakota approached more slowly, but gently placed her hand on Wade's arm. Thank you for not forcing your heart. Or ours. Wade looked at the three women, his throat tight with emotion. So, we all stay?
Estoy lista.
We stay.
Guíame.
All three confirmed together.
Así será.
Outside, the sun shone brightly on the ranch. Chickens clucked in the pen. Horses whinnied softly. The wind whispered through the
Llegado el
trees.
momento.
And inside the house, four people who had been alone now formed something new. Not exactly a traditional family, but a family nonetheless. Wade didn't know how this story would end. He didn't know where his heart would end up. But for the first time in 5 long years, he wasn't alone. And for now, that was enough.
Sí.
The first days after the decision were strange,
Es lo que
but
hace especial
wonderful.
esta casa.
Wade woke each morning surprised to hear female voices. The aroma of Dakota's breakfast floating from the kitchen. The sound of Kimi singing while feeding horses. The routine established itself naturally.
Sí, nos quedamos juntas.
Dakota rose first, preparing breakfast for everyone. Ayana spent mornings in her growing herb garden.
Yo también, Wade.
Kimi worked with the horses, training them with patience. Wade supervised the cattle and repairs.
Adiós, Dakota.
But the real magic happened at night. After dinner, all four sat on the porch, sharing stories. The women's Spanish improved steadily, and Wade learned words in Apache. 2 weeks later, Wade told them about his childhood. My parents died when I was 16. Fever. My brother went east, seeking easier life. I stayed with the ranch. I worked alone for 19 years. Dakota gently touched his arm. You're not alone anymore. Weeks turned into months.
Ha llegado el momento.
The ranch prospered in ways Wade never imagined.
Destino te llama.
Ayana's remedies improved the cattle's health dramatically. No animal had died in 3 months. Kimi's horses were the best trained in the region. Neighboring ranchers asked her to train theirs too. And Dakota, the transformation was remarkable. Colorful curtains in every window, flowers in vases on tables, beautiful woven blankets everywhere. Wade's cold place was now a warm home, but there was tension too. Wade felt it clearly. The women were kind to each other, but he noticed the glances. How Ayana watched when he laughed with Kimi. How Dakota fell silent when he helped Ayana with herbs.
Juntas.
How Kimi stopped smiling when she saw Wade and Dakota talking quietly.
Yo
3 months later, the situation reached a critical point. Wade was repairing the stable roof when he heard raised voices from the house.
Destinos nos espera.
He descended quickly and found the 3 women arguing in Apache, faces tense. What's wrong? He asked, worried. All 3 turned to him. Ayana spoke first, her Spanish much better now. Wade, this isn't working. You said your heart would choose with time. 3 months have passed. We need to know.
Nayeli, guíame.
Wade felt a heavy weight in his chest. It's hard, Kimi interrupted, tears in her eyes. We live like sisters, but we all want the same man.
Wade.
It hurts badly.
Llegado el momento.
Dakota nodded firmly. We can't continue like this. It's unfair to everyone. Wade sat heavily on the porch steps. They were absolutely right. He'd been postponing the inevitable, enjoying the company of all 3, but avoiding the decision he knew he had to make. I know, he finally admitted. These have been the happiest 3 months of my life,
Y ahora dan color a nuestras
but I've also been selfish.
Es lo que hace especial.
I've enjoyed your company without giving you the clarity you deserve. He stood and looked at each one carefully. Each of you has touched my life profoundly. Dakota, you brought beauty and peace. Ayana, you brought wisdom and healing. Kimi, you brought joy and adventure. All three waited breathlessly,
Yo también, güey.
but my heart, Wade touched his chest, has been gravitating toward one person.
Adiós.
Not because the others are less valuable, but because sometimes the heart simply knows.
Wade, aquí es donde
The
pertenece.
silence was absolute. Ayana, Wade said softly, may I speak with you alone? Ayana's eyes widened with surprise. Dakota and Kimi exchanged glances, a mixture of sadness and understanding on their faces.
Nayeli, guíame.
Wade and Ayana walked to the herb garden she'd cultivated. Among the medicinal plants, Wade finally found the words.
Wade.
From the first day you healed my cow, he began, I saw something special in you. Not just skill or knowledge. I saw a soul that complements mine perfectly. You're strong where I'm weak. You're wise where I'm ignorant. When I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to my best friend and my partner at the same time. Ayana looked at him with shining eyes, tears already forming. Will you marry me?
Sí, y ahora.
Wade asked simply.
Es lo que hace
Yes,
especial esta
she
casa.
whispered. My heart chose you too. They kissed softly, sealing their future together. When they returned to the house, Dakota and Kimi already knew. The women hugged tightly, crying together, sadness and joy mixed.
Juntas siempre.
You don't have to leave, Wade said quickly. I promised you'd always have a home here. But Dakota shook her head, smiling through tears. No, Wade. It's time we follow our own paths.
Espera.
This was a beautiful adventure. It helped us heal our broken hearts.
Pertenecemos.
But now we must find our own destinies. Kimi nodded in agreement. That rancher in the West Valley offered me good work training his horses. I think it's time to accept his offer. And I, Dakota said softly,
Estoy
the
lista.
town teacher asked me to teach weaving to the young girls. I want to try it. A month later, in a simple ceremony at the ranch, Wade and Ayana married.
Wade.
Sheriff Tom officiated with a smile. Dakota and Kimi were witnesses, smiling genuinely. Nayeli and Aita came from the Apache camp to bless the union with traditional prayers. After the wedding celebration, Dakota and Kimi prepared to say their goodbyes. There were many tears, warm hugs, sincere promises to visit often. Thank you,
Sí, y ahora.
Dakota told Wade earnestly,
Es lo
for
que
giving
hace
me
especial
hope
esta casa.
again, for showing me I can be happy again. Thanks for the adventure. Kimi laughed warmly, hugging him tight. It was the best craziness of my life. As the two women rode away down the dusty road, Wade and Ayana stood on the porch, holding hands tightly. They watched until the riders became small dots on the horizon,
Sí, mi elección es.
then disappeared completely. Do you think they'll find their happiness? Ayana asked softly.
Espera.
Yes, Wade answered with certainty.
Sí, Wade, aquí es donde pertenece.
They're strong women. They'll find their way. I'm sure of it. Ayana leaned her head on his shoulder. This feels right. All of it. Even the sadness of saying goodbye. It does, Wade agreed. Sometimes the hardest choices are the right ones.
Guíame.
They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun begin its descent toward the distant mountains. The ranch stretched before them, alive with possibility.
Llegado el momento.
That night, for the first time in 5 long years, Wade didn't sleep alone in his bed. Ayana was beside him, her hand resting in his. The ranch was silent outside, but it was a different kind of silence. Not the heavy loneliness he'd known for so long. It was the peaceful silence of knowing he'd found his companion. The moon rose high over the land, casting silver light across
Es lo
the
que hace especial
fields.
esta casa.
Inside the house, 2 hearts that had been searching finally rested. And somewhere far out in the vast west, Dakota was settling into her small room above the schoolhouse, already planning tomorrow's weaving lessons. Her heart, closed for so long, was slowly opening again to new possibilities.
Yo también.
In another direction, Kimi was sitting by a campfire with her new employer's ranch hands, telling stories of the wild horses she'd tamed.
No nos espera.
Her spirit, dimmed by loss, was burning bright once more with purpose and adventure. The 3 women who'd arrived together at a lonely ranch had each found what their souls needed most. Ayana had found love. Dakota had found purpose.
No fue un accidente.
Kimi had found adventure and joy.
Debemos actuar con
The
sabiduría.
wind whispered through the trees outside, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. In the distance, a coyote called to the night, and another answered. Life continued its eternal rhythm on the ranch, but now it beat with the warmth of two hearts instead of one. Wade tightened his arm around Ayana, grateful beyond words for the unexpected path that had led them here. From a desperate confession in a dusty office to this moment of perfect peace, it seemed impossible, yet here they were. And Wade, the lonely cowboy who couldn't find a wife anywhere, had found something far more valuable than he'd ever imagined. He'd found a true home, filled with love, built on honesty, and blessed by the courage of 4 people who dared to take a chance on happiness.
Conmigo.
The stars above shone brightly, the same stars that had witnessed his loneliness for so many years. But tonight, they looked down on a different man, a man who was no longer alone, a man who had learned that sometimes the greatest blessings come wrapped in the most unexpected packages.
Mira nuestro hogar allá.
As sleep finally claimed them both, Wade's last thought was a simple one.